What is up, YouTube? Adam here. Today we're going to be talking about Dynamips. So we're here on the Dynamips GitHub page, and if you didn't know, Dynamips is a Cisco router emulator, a utility that you can use to set up virtual labs when studying for Cisco certifications. So there are a lot of Dynamips tutorials out there, but in my case I found they're either too vague, they suffer from a bad case of copy and paste, bringing a lot of unnecessary garbage code with it, or they're exceptionally detailed for a very specific use case. So that's why I decided to make this video, to share just how overly complicated these copy-paste engineers are making it. The best tutorial I could find to get your foot in the door is at iteasypass.com. Unfortunately, many of the links are broken. So I'm going to show you the easiest way to get up and running with your virtual lab environment that works across platforms. First, we need two great applications, Virtualbox and Vagrant. This video will not be performing an in-depth overview of either programs. Plenty of great information and documentation already exists for these tools. I will say, installing both is relatively painless in my experience, and if you aren't familiar with either Virtualbox or Vagrant, you should definitely dig into their tutorials located at their respective websites. Today I'll be covering just enough to get you started. So, if you don't have the newest version of Virtualbox installed on your system, head over to virtualbox.org and click on the download button. From here, you'll choose your operating system and begin the download and installation. So I'm not going to download Virtualbox because I already have it installed, but here you can see what Virtualbox looks like after installation. Next, you're going to want to head over to vagrantup.com and download and install Vagrant. As you can see here on the home page, it makes launching a CLI virtual machine as simple as possible. So I have a terminal open in a temp directory located right off of home, and we'll just run Vagrant init so you can see how the Vagrant file is created. So the Vagrant file specifies the configurations for the system you're about to boot, and you can see it here. It comes preloaded with many of the basic instructions you'll need to launch a CLI virtual machine. So I've done a lot of the heavy lifting for you by determining the dependencies required to run Dynamips and Dynagen. All you'll need to get up and running is the Vagrant file and the bootstrap directory, and I've provided a link to those in the video show notes. I can't provide you with the Cisco router images. For that, you'll need to visit the Cisco website and download the appropriate iOS for your labs. But you should know, this is the directory where you will want to store your images. I've set up the task runner to use this shared directory to grab the iOS images. So now that we have our Vagrant file, it is simple as running Vagrant up. So this will take some time for your first build, but afterwards the VM will spin up relatively quickly. You'll likely encounter some errors, but as they say in meta heuristics, it doesn't have to be the best solution, it just has to be a working solution. So after the machine is up, you can type Vagrant status to ensure the machine is running. Now let's log on to our VM for the first time. Type Vagrant SSH. When you log in and list the contents of the directory with ls, you'll see an example network file that contains only a single router, and that's it. I won't describe to you at this time common conventions for laying out directory structure for your project. Instead, I'll point you to a simple task runner script I've created. If you type vlab, you will see the available options for the script. Now I'm going to be honest, I don't even like running it this way, but it is the easiest way to get you started using Dynamips and Dynagen. You'll likely see segmentation faults and core dumps using the scripts. If either Dynamips or Dynagen display one of these errors, that's okay. Just run the command again and it'll likely work. If you ls on the current working directory, you'll see that vlab created a project structure for you. This isn't the de facto standard, but it keeps your network lab files separated from the files generated by Dynamips. if you type vlab tac l, a list of all the files in the Dynagen net directory will appear. This is the directory from which I have chosen to load all my labs. So we can see right now the directory is empty. Let's move the example net file to dynagen/net. Now, when you type vlab tac l, you will see the example lab listed. So, the first step in starting our emulator is to run vlab tac m or --mips. This will begin a background process running Dynamips on localhost 7200. The second step to start our emulator is to run vlab-g and then the name of the lab. From here, we'll see that Dynagen spins up and we can type list and we can see our router is defined and our network files is running. As well, the address and port of the connection is listed here. So now that these jobs are running, you're going to want to open a new terminal window and navigate to the directory in which your Vagrant file and bootstrap directory is located. We could type Vagrant status to check the status of the machine, but we know it's already running, so we'll just type Vagrant SSH. So now that we've logged in with another terminal, let's use Telnet to log onto the router. If we type Telnet and then the address localhost followed by the port number 2001 in this instance, we can see the router prompts us to initialize the device. We will select No and head directly to the main prompt. Congratulations, you now have a running Cisco iOS emulator. From what I understand, the hello world of Cisco Labs is changing the host name, so we'll just do that right now for a quick preview of future videos. If you type EN, short for enable, we can now access and change configuration settings on the device. So we'll type conf t, short for configure terminal, and then type hostname R1. The terminal will spew an acknowledgement at you, and afterwards type exit. As you can now see, the prompt displays the new host name on the left side of the cursor. And that's how you get started with Dynamips and Dynagen.